I'm live. Do, 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 do. You know what? I actually like the curtain with the gray. That's funny. Yeah. I waiting till I was it just let you know I was live. It just let me know I was live. This is so rude. I was supposed to do this before I went live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Welcome. My name is Felicia Don Harper, and this is our channel, and it is our journey, the Harper's journey. I am the adopted parent of three children, ages now 19, twins, and 16. And today I would like to talk about, because I said I wanted to shift the channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy New Year. And I wanted to shift the channel this year and really get into adoption and why we adopt. And um, just some things I jotted down because I normally, I talk from my experience as um, my tribe's mom, and I've shared our journey and our experiences, and we're still having experiences. But I just want to talk from this topic of why do we adopt, right? So I have a couple of points here. I have one, it's a desire to be a parent. And then I have, you want to save a child or children, right? You feel that you have something that you may be able to pour into these kids' lives. And so you adopt, or to help a friend or a family member out. They may be some scenarios that come about that they may, no, no, no. Oh God, it kicked me out. Oh, sorry about that. If the screen went black. Um, Family members or friends who children may be taken away or they need to be placed in another space for a while. And then loneliness. That is a reality that some people do adopt because of loneliness. And my last one is number 5 is money. So I would like to talk and welcome. You can type your name, you can hit the thumbs up, you can share. These are things I normally don't say, but I will say that because I really want to get the message out about adoption. Because I know in talking about our journey, it seems like, oh my God, it's so negative, but it's just our reality, and everything isn't negative. It's just what it is, and it can be with your biological kids as well. So the desire to be a parent. Let's that's my number one. So um I adopted as a single woman, and I knew a lot of people, a lot of single women. Let me go back to that. A lot of single women who also adopted as single parents. And we were in our 30s. I know I adopted in a state of depression because of loss of a child. Other people may have had miscarriages that I know, miscarriages, or was getting older and were not married and they wanted to start a family. So they adopted as well. Then you have married couples who um, may be struggling with fertility, and it's taking them a little longer than they anticipated to bring forth a child into this world. Um, is in vitro, is surrogacy, and then or you can have a married couple when one partner may have been an adopted child and they wanted to adopt and bring an adopted child into their household because the love they receive from their adopted parents. And so there are many, many scenarios why we want to be parents, right? You want to love on somebody else. And we know in this journey, you don't have to bring forth a child to be a child's parent. And Those are just a few reasons why people adopt. Um, Adoption, I think if I was in my right mind, I probably wouldn't have done it. Everything has to be done for a reason. And so I think me being in grief and fostering, and again, I talk about I fostered 18 children before the twins came along, and I ended up adopting them. So, and then about a year and a half later, Dylan came along and he was fostered and I adopted him. So, um, I know I know so many people who adopted. It's amazing when I start talking about adoption because when I was going through my adopts, I knew so many people, married couples, single men, single women, who were just in that space that they wanted to be a parent. They wanted to love on somebody. So it was very interesting to see, like, okay, you're not alone in this journey. And so then my number two is save a child or children. So you can be a person, like I do know people who are like college students. They work in an after school program. They may mentor children who they know their scenario, their situation may not be the best. It's amazing. Or you're in a school setting when you come across a lot of children who are in foster care, who parents who they've lost their rights. Um, it's just, they're the oldest sibling may be taking care of the youngest sibling because parents can be not in a good space to be the best parent they can be. So someone, social worker at the school, a teacher at the school, security guard, cafeteria worker, like I said, mentor, janitor, someone may step in and want and know these children's stories. Because when you're in those, you become very intimate. You get to know the child on a very personal, spiritual level, and you have a connection with that child, and you want the best for that child, and you see that maybe the circumstances they currently are in are not the best, and so you're like, okay, so if this is going to happen, I'll step in and I'll do what I need to do to help this family out, to help these children or this child out, because you have just grown such an attachment to this child. So that's another reason why we adopt, right? My third reason, again, this one is help a family member or friend. You can have some friends who are on a road, a dark road. They may have some vices. They can be in an abusive relationship, or they can be the abuser. Um, they may fall on hardship, loss of wages, um, home burned down. It's so many scenarios. We always go for people on drugs, people. There are a plethora of scenarios that can force a family to a parent or parents to have to relinquish the rights of their children. It is not always they're just deadbeat parents. That mental illness is a major factor right now. A lot of people are suffering. And even if we weren't going through this pandemic, it's just amazing to see what the data is going to say for next year in reference to the children that were maybe in unsafe circumstances. Because you see, I'm getting a skating around. I don't want to say abuse. So unsafe circumstances. Families, may have lost wages because we know, shoot, I had to file unemployment last year, and I had just started a business, and it's just from March, no, from April until September when I started my job, I was unemployed. And I'm just grateful that I was able to have those resources. sustain my family, as I always say, and I pray that we never went begging for bread. We were sustained the entire time. We lights were never off, but that's our story. Everybody's story was not that. And so I would just love to see the data that's going to come from last year on people who may have to, because we don't think about that. You just think about, oh, they lost their homes, even though landlords were told not to evict their tenants. Um, some still evicted them because they feel like, if I'm not able to pay my mortgage or the taxes on this property and you're living here and I'm not getting anything from you, some landlords even went to cutting the water off, and it was a lot of things that took place. So back to helping a friend out, people become, getting hard hardship situations where they may have to ask a family member, can you now become the guardian or the parent or adopt my child, because I just can't do it. Again, mental illness, and I keep harping on that because mental illness is just running prevalent. It's not as if it wasn't here before, but it is it's constantly in our faces. So and then, it's amazing we talk about adoption with family members, because for years family members have taken on a niece, a nephew, a cousin, and raised them. Some with no monetary income coming in. It was just what we did as a community. We just took the child in. Child was just in the house with the other kids, being raised just like them, so that they wouldn't have to go into the system. So that's another reason. And then loneliness. And I know it probably sounds like, why would she say loneliness? Because some people are lonely. They may not have ever thought about adopting. And you probably say maybe they should get a pet. But people adopt out of loneliness. They want something to love, and they want something to love them back. And they will adopt a child. And that's fulfilling for both parties, right? If you're lonely and you're seeking someone to love, and this child is here, and you've gone through all the steps that's required, because you got to do background checks. And I think now that they really should add a psychological piece into adoption. I don't even know what it looks like to adopt now in today's time, because you have to think the twins are 19, they'll be 20. So that was 20 years ago for me. This year would be 20 years. So I don't need, but I think a psychological piece should, evaluation should be done on people who are adopting. And because you got to be made of some good stuff. And I always say, I know a lot of people who adopted, and every story is not the same. Every scenario is not the same. I have friends who adopted children. They've had from birth, gone on to go to Ivy League schools, have a wonderful career. Those who, you know, their situation, everybody's situation is not the same in reference to adopting kids. So, and then the last one I will say is money. That's right, money. So if you foster, they give you a stipend. Um, and back when I was adopted, that was a big thing. I mean, when I was fostering. So I became a foster parent again out of loss. I had a son. He passed away a week after he was born. And when I came home from the hospital, there was an adoption fair on HBO. My mother had a friend. He had a home for boys. I called him, asked him how could I go about adopting, and he said to me, because you have no children, I think that you should foster. And I think that is the best advice that I could give someone. Um, Prior to you adopting, you need to foster. You need to know what you're getting into. You need to know the makeup of the child, what's the background on the child, what's the family history, family medical history, mental health, and I'm saying medical, include the mental health piece, um, drug abuse, all of those things you need to know before you adopt. You need to be able to get as much information so that you can make a sound um, decision about adopting. So I would say foster first. And so I'm going to get back to the money piece. So when I started fostering, no, when I took my first class, and I didn't know there was a stipend that came with it because, again, he said I should foster. So I literally was in my first class having no clue about foster care, about what it took to be a foster parent, nothing. I was just there. And so the questions that people were asking, excuse me, the questions people were asking, I was like, what? Because they were like, what should I feed the child? And I'm like, what? You feed them what you. This is in my mind because, see, I didn't realize at that time that fostering was a racket. It was a way to, for some people, to bring another revenue stream into their household. I had no clue about this. None. Again, I was a woman who was going through grief, and I decided to foster. And again, I really should have went through grief counseling, um, but everything happens for a reason. So you go through your background check. They come and check your home out. Um, if you work, they want to speak to your supervisor. I don't know how it goes now. They want to make sure that in your home you have a safe place provided. If you're getting a little kid, they want to make sure you have all the safety precautions, the plugs, stuff on the stove, cabinet locks, all these things. And then you receive these little people. You go through, I think it was 6 to 8 weeks worth of classes I went through. And they tell you what you should expect. You are never prepared for that little person that comes through the door. I don't care how much you think you prepared, because you have to realize when that little person comes through the door, all their family stuff is coming with them. You just don't realize it. And so, and along with them coming, they get a clothing allowance. You have to buy clothes for them. If it's infants, you have a check for clothing, diapers, all that stuff, and then you receive a monthly stipend. Okay, and so I was always, I think I spent more on my kids always than the monthly stipend was, and so I will say this: even with adopting, that afforded me to be able to homeschool my kids and live well below my means. Because at one point I was living so far above my means, I couldn't even sustain myself. And making the choice to relocate, where I'm able to sustain myself and we be okay, was the best choice I could have ever made for us. But in reference to the money that people are, they take the foster kids, in not all cases, but a lot of them, the child comes from a circumstance that was not favorable, and that's why they're in your home. And then you, what's the right word? Monopolize on the situation as well. So you're going to receive the money and you want most of that money to stay in your pocket. So you're doing as little as possible for that child. And it's so sad because you're supposed to be there shaping that life, protecting that child. And you hear so many cases where the foster parents are abusing the kids more than the parents, not feeding the kids properly, not bathing them, not making sure they go to school. And this is not every case, but you hear a large number, right? So monetarily, they pimping the system too. They pimping that kid to get that check. And so these are just 5 reasons I just decided to write down because, again, I really want to talk about adopt. It's probably going to be fostering and adoption because I fostered so many kids. And so today I printed out with my own printer and ink the State of America's Children 21 from the Children's Defense Fund. And I just wanted to get some statistics, and the numbers look horrible, people. We are doing our children a disservice. And then people wonder why the children behave the way they do. It's like when I see young men now and the way they interact with women, this is the first thing that goes through my mind. I wonder, did that child grow up in foster care? I wonder, did that child grow up around his parents? I wonder. These are the thoughts that go up through my mind because that child might have aged out of the system, or that child may have run away from the system, or the parent could have even got the child back, but the stain that was left on that kid, because we don't know what went on in that foster home. If we ever really got down to the root and began to talk to our young people, the stories that they probably will share with us, we may have a little bit more compassion for them. But our kids are not given sympathy, empathy, compassion, understanding. It's lock them up, kill them. That's who they are. And it was too much for you. It's our children are never given that grace, right, to know their story. And we don't even give them that space that is safe that they want to share it. And so when I see our young people, I can honestly say I weep inside for them because we really don't know the impact of what drugs. Now, this is when I will talk about drugs. The drugs, opioids, alcohol, physical abuse, mental abuse, hunger, homelessness, sexual assault. Ooh, our kids go through a lot. Our kids go through a lot. And us not having kids in the building, a lot of the staff at work say they kind of miss not having the kids being able to see. And I miss talking to them. That's what I miss, interacting with the kids. Because kids, if they know that they're in a safe space, they will share everything. If they know that you legitimately love them and that you have their best interests, they have no filter. The filter is gone. They are telling it, and they don't even know that they're telling it unless their parents tell them not to share. And so, but even in that case, if it is rough, if it's too rough for them and they just can't hold it, they still gonna share it. And so, How do I want to end this today? I just want to come on every week and just today was the why. Why do we adopt? So I just had, 5 little points why we adopt. And, you know, I'm going to do the who, what, where, why, how of adoption. I think that's easier for me, and I'll probably branch out on some other things. Um, I I just printed my this children defense fund out, but I'll probably have some numbers next week because it's 80 pages. And when I just started reading it, I was just shaking my head like, my God, our poor babies are suffering. And and I'm just wondering, like during COVID, what is happening to our babies? And I know when I make wellness calls, the parents are stressed out. Parents are stressed out, and the kids are stressed out. And so I just wonder what is happening in the home. So that is this week's topic. Why do we adopt? And I'm Felicia Harper. I see I have one person on this entire time. I hope you like the page. Hit the thumbs up and share. And next week, I'll have more numbers because I will have read hopefully all through this report and just talk more about adoption. I will end it with this. Our journey, the Harpers, is ever changing. My child is in a mental health facility right now, and he tried to commit suicide. And I think I mentioned that in the last video. And he is in the place he needs to be, but it's not being effective to me because when he calls, I have decided I can't talk to him every night. It has to be every other night because we always end the call with me hanging up. Like, I just can't. I just can't because he has still not worked through to the core of his stuff. And I don't even know if he has the maturity or the capacity to. But last night he was saying he want to come back here. And I told him he's not welcome here. He's not welcome in our home. Not after the last go round. I've given too many chances, and I just don't even want him to come back to Michigan. I just don't. I don't care where he goes. He has grown. I pray for his well-being, but I just cannot. I don't want to live in my house in fear of him hurting us, in fear of us hurting him. And that is a strong possibility. So, I was very clear, like, you're not welcome here. You cannot come back to this house. So I didn't want him to think that that was a possibility when he left from where he is. And I'm like, no, you're going to have to make arrangements, but this place you're not welcome to. And I know that sounds harsh, but we have to do what's in our best interest here. And having him in the house is not in our best interest. So our journey is ever, ever, ever changing. Deja started college yesterday. That girl life is a testimony. She don't even realize it. I just was like, I have to take a picture. You started college. Like, no one thought that was possible for you, girl, but your mama. I was like, and so what? And so here we are, college, Deja, so happy. Dylan is a little working man. He'll be 17 next month. Dylan is Dylan. I don't talk much about him because he's just Dylan. He'd be like, leave me alone. I'm my own person. So I just leave him alone. So I guess that was a great way to wrap up for this week's the Harper journey through adoption. Again, thank you. I will be back here next Sunday. I think Sunday is a good day. I now have an office. This was Dylan's old room, and I created a home office because I do a lot of work from home now. So I will talk to you guys next week. Be blessed. Have a safe week. Stay safe, masked up, disinfect, drink your tea and gargle with Lysol, and take your vitamin D3 and your multivitamins, and just try to stay healthy. Until next week, be blessed. Peace.